We see Google and
Google?
Zoom.
Okay, brilliant. I'll stop that share and we'll give that another go.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got the task manager. Okay, I think we're all back cooking with gas now.
Yeah.
So, all right. So when we are using the chat, it is really important that you actually do record. So when we're recording, we use it as a privacy thing, and it means we can print out the presentation, we can create a YouTube link for everyone, but we can also print the chat. We're finding now that the digital world is becoming very much and everything can be done electronically. So when we're using Zoom or we're using a digital signature, like I said before in the forms, that can become law and legal. Has anybody got any questions about that? Everyone okay? All right, brilliant. All right, so in the chat, don't forget that you've got a little question there. So if you'd like to pop in a question for Brad, just to use that again. And what you will notice down the side is that there are files. So did you get a copy of your student manual?
I haven't shared that, Trish. I wasn't sure if that was something. I've got it ready to share with everyone, but yeah, I didn't know if that was something we needed to share ahead of time. No, you don't need to. Okay. So for now, that's fine. But I just wanted to point out that you will have a copy of this. So everything that you're doing here, whether you're learning it today, you can actually go back because you do have a copy of this. And the first lot of information that I'd like you to look at on this is on page 14, and that covers off on Office 365. So, okay. Just bring up my next slide again.
How can we get a copy of that manual?
Okay, Harriet has that.
I will share it with you guys after the session today.
Brilliant.
So it's just it's a soft copy, so I'll send it by email, and if you want to print and have a copy there with you, I'll leave that with you to do it.
Okay. Alrighty. So now one more little question I have for you for the chat, and that is, what type of mobile device are you using? So if you have a smartphone for personal use or for work, hands up those who have a smartphone for work. Okay, you have a personal one? What type of device is it? So in the chat, can you answer that question for me? Tell me what type of device your smartphone is. Okay, good. Okay, got a few smartphones. We've got an Oppo. Okay. Has anybody got Huawei? Okay. We're not recommending at the moment. The American and Australian government are not recommending that you buy those at the moment. And they've actually dropped off in the UK the actual stocking the Huawei phones completely. All right. So for those of you who have got an Apple phone, as opposed to an Android. So nobody really said Android. There is actually a big difference. So can anybody tell me the difference between an Android and an Apple phone? Okay, think of the phone is actually using a different language. So Apple uses a language called iOS. Have you heard of that before?
Yeah.
Okay. Android is Samsung, Oppo, Huawei, etc., etc. So anything other than Apple is an Android device. It's very important that you know what type of device you have, because if you don't, you're going to have problems. When we start talking about Android apps and web apps and those sorts of things. So just to give you an example, Office 365 is called a web app. What does that mean?
Find it on the internet.
You access it via the internet. So like you would Google, it's exactly the same. If you're using an actual iPhone and you want to be able to use all of the software that you use for work. So what software? Give me some examples of the software that you use for work, for creating calculations or creating documents, sending emails. Who can tell me, what are you using for sending email?
Outlook.
Outlook? Okay. What are you using for typing documents?
Word.
Word? Okay. What are you using to access the internet?
Google Chrome.
Google Chrome? Okay, good. So we've got all of these different forms of web apps. Internet Explorer, which is now called Microsoft Edge. They've actually changed the name of that. I've got a presentation here I'll show you in a moment, but it's very important that you understand, particularly from anybody who's in a management role, to understand when you've got staff and the staff are saying, I can't access this, you're sending me this, but I can't get it. Is that happening at all to anybody? Yep. Okay, so if you're using Microsoft Word, Microsoft Excel, Microsoft Office 365, and you've got an iPhone, they are not software programs specifically used for iPhone. You can get them, but they need to be downloaded as separate individual applications for an iPhone. The same thing happens with an Android. So an actual desktop version or web app that you're accessing from the internet is very different to applications that you use on the phone. So there's a lot of inconsistencies, and a lot of people will say, okay, I'm sending you information. I've got an email. I'm going to send you to your phone this document. You get the email, you go to open the document, it won't open. Why not? Harriet, do you have any idea about that one?
It may be that you don't have, someone hasn't given you permission.
Okay, a lot of organisations have not got licensing for phones. Okay, so that means if I wanted to open up a Word document on here, I can, because I've licensed Microsoft Office and Outlook and all of those applications for the phone as well. So that means I can actually download the app onto there. I log into it like I would on a web app and access it from the phone. This is a very, very big problem, and it's a big challenge for business because we see it all the time. We actually see people trying to open up attachments that they're getting in their emails, and they can't. They're going to the help desk. The help desk people are using desktops. They're saying it's not a problem, but it's because they're mobile apps. A mobile app is very different than a web app. The reason is because a web app is using code to create a website, and what you get on your phone is an app. It's a completely different product. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. And then when you buy, so if you buy Microsoft Office for home or for the office, you actually pay to be able to do that. So DPI pay to have access to Microsoft Office on everyone's computers, but may not necessarily have access to that on their phones. So if that is a challenge, that is usually the reason why. Does anyone have any questions about that? No, we're all good? Okay. All right, very important. So I'll switch my screen over again, and I'll just show you how you can recognize. Okay, Brad, can you tell me what you're seeing there?
The front end.
The front end?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so can you all see the Android image there?
Yeah.
And the Apple? So Apple devices are really easy to tell what they are because they'll have an Apple on the back. Android, when you turn it on and off, you can tell the difference because you'll have this little green monster, which is the logo for a Samsung or an Android device, so your Oppos, so that you know what device you've got and why some software won't work on certain things. For example, I have an app on my phone and it's a shopping list. It's only available for Android. It's not available at all on an iPhone. So the difference is an iPhone will speak one language called iOS and your Samsung will speak Android. They're not compatible. It's like speaking English and French. What's the problem there, guys?
For Amanda. Yeah. Okay.
They're different. So the actual challenge there is that they are different. Does that make sense?
Sorry? Well, you just leave and drop out, did you? I just muted.
Okay. Somebody needs to be muted there. Just a moment.
Oh, come out. Yeah, okay. I'll do that.
Barry, can you mute your computer?
Okay.
What's that? Yeah.
Barry,
Sorry, yeah.
Can you mute your microphone?
Okay.
That's better.
So can everyone now see the web app versus software apps there? You can actually see the difference. So a web app is anything that you're accessing from the internet, and then a mobile app is anything that you're accessing from here, or again, from your tablet. So it doesn't matter which device you're using. Okay. So I'll just stop that share and I'll actually be going backwards and forwards in the share so that you can see different slides at different times. Does anyone have any questions that you want to ask either myself or Brad about that type of software? And do you understand the difference between actually having an app and having access to web-based software?
Yep, good.
Good. Excellent. Okay. All right. So the next one is my favorite. So I want to talk to you about the cloud. So can anybody tell me about the cloud? They're fluffy. We've had quite a few grey and black ones recently. What's the cloud? Was it Kerry?
Mm-hmm.
Kerry, were you saying that you were going to be uploading, or was it Jackie?
Not me.
Who's uploading stuff to the cloud?
Debbie.
It was Debbie. Debbie, tell me about what you think the cloud is.
I've got no idea. I've only done it once, so I'm not real sure.
Okay, good. All right. So the cloud, would anybody else like to add to that? Does anybody know what the cloud is?
I'm assuming it says storage space.
It certainly is. Okay, very, very commonly bad use of jargon. Okay, the cloud doesn't exist. Neither does cyberspace. It's like CPI, USI, those sorts of things, CPU, all the jargon that relates about RAM and ROM, computer tech stuff. Unless you're a computer technician, in a lot of cases, you won't understand. So I don't expect that you understand what it is, but as long as you know that the cloud doesn't actually exist, it's just a term given to the name of something to make it sound fluffy, like Google, Bing, Edge, etc. So cyberspace, again, is another one, and that doesn't exist either. So hands up, who has an email address? Okay, in the chat, can you type for me if you have got either a Hotmail account, a Google account, a Telstra account, or an Apple account, an iCloud account, email address. So if you can pop that in the chat for me, so you can tell me what sort of email address you have. Private email address. Okay, So for all of you who've popped that in there, I've got some big pond ones there coming up. I've got Telstra coming up. I've got Google. I've got Hotmail. Okay, excellent. All right, it doesn't matter what type of email address you have, whether or not you're with Google, Telstra, Optus, or even your work email address. As soon as you have an email address of any type, you're in the cloud. I've been using cloud for about 17 years. And okay, would anybody like to tell me how long they've had their Google account? How long have you had your Google account for? Tim? Tim, did you say you have a Google account or a Telstra account? Tim?
Oh, Hotmail, sorry.
Hotmail? Okay.
Hotmail.
All right, so you're using Hotmail. Hotmail's cloud. Rebecca, are you using Telstra, Google?
Well, I use Gmail at work, but Hotmail privately.
Okay, so how long have you had your Hotmail account for?
Probably 9 years, maybe.
Okay. Chris, are you using Telstra or are you using Gmail or Big Pond?
Big Pond, and I've had it about 8 years, 9 years, something like that.
Okay, so you're not using Google or Hotmail or anything like that?
Not as yet, no. Probably going to set one up under Gmail soon.
Okay, so let me tell you, it doesn't matter what email address you're using. They're all in the cloud. And what I'm saying is that as soon as you sign up for any type of email address, whether it's an Outlook one for work, whether it's Telstra, whether it's Google, it doesn't matter. Where is that stored?
In the cloud.
It's in the cloud. Whose cloud? So if we're talking about a Gmail account, whose cloud is that stored in? Google's. If we're using Big Pond, whose cloud are we storing our emails in?
Telstra.
Beautiful. See how that works? So that just means wherever you've got your email account, it's like having a post office box out the front of your house. So all of your mail comes into the house and that's at your address. If you've got a Hotmail account, whose address is that at? Pardon? It's at Microsoft's. So Microsoft own it. So Microsoft over years, because I actually have a Hotmail account too. Hotmail was live, then it went to Hotmail, then it went to Outlook. So they've actually changed it quite a few times. So it's really important that we know this because you're giving permission to Google to access their cloud. You're giving permission, and Google got sued yesterday. So Google actually got sued for forcing people to sign up for their information. So we're going to see a lot more about that. If we're using Big Pond, whose cloud are we using?
Telstra.
Okay, so when we look at the cloud, and I'll go into this in more detail later because the cloud is not hard. It's just like having either a filing cabinet that you're putting all of your mail in, or it could be a private post office box that you have that all of your mail comes to. I actually do use a post office box for my company. All of my mail comes there and I literally go there, I take the key, unlock it, grab the mail out and so on. What's the difference between doing that and accessing your Hotmail account? Nothing. The only difference is one's physical, so we can touch it, and the other one isn't. So it's just where they're holding it. So who holds my post office box?
Telstra.
Post office.
The post office. So when I go and when I go and unlock that, so I actually pay the post office to have access to that post office box. So the post office own that cloud as such, or storage space. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
Yep.
Yeah, does that clear that up? Because a lot of people sort of think the cloud is scary, but we're all using it and probably have been using it for a long time. I personally have been using the cloud for about 17 years, 17 or 18 years, or actually just the Microsoft cloud for a very long time. So it has been around for a really long time, and the easiest way to explain it is storage. So that's why those 4 things that we mentioned before, who'd like to tell me what those 4 things are? Our number 1 things that we can't forget.
Username.
Yep.
Email.
Yep.
Password.
Yep.
Passcode.
Yep. So if you've got a Hotmail account and you forget the password, can you get back in?
Yes, for recovery.
Yes, you can. Yeah, you can recover it or reset the password. If you forget the email address and password, can you get back in?
Yep.
No.
No. No. So if you forget what your email address is, trying to log in with that email address is very difficult. So that's why knowing those 4 things are really important, because whether or not you're using Office 365, whether or not you're using a Hotmail account or a Big Pond account, they are all the same. So what I want to just elaborate on with the cloud is that whenever you're using it, you're using Google's or Microsoft's space to store your data or your files or photos or whatever it is there. But you can access that from anywhere. Whereas my post office box, I have to physically go there, open it up, take the mail out, lock it up again and walk away. So when we're looking at the cloud, it enables us to transfer information or hold information and come back wherever we are. We could be anywhere in the world, okay? And the other thing about it is it's live. What does that mean?
Access at any time.
Do you watch the news, Chris?
Yeah, all the time.
Okay. Is the news live?
Yes.
If we listen to the radio and we listen to the news, is that live? Okay. So when it's pre-recorded, it's not live. So it's something that's been done before and we can watch it later. With our software and Google, things like Google and our emails, they are live, which means as soon as somebody sends you an email, you can access it. Okay. As soon as it comes through, which can take 35 seconds, it can take 1 minute, depending on who you're with, because sometimes it can bounce around and before it comes in. What would you need to do if you're sitting there waiting for that email to come in?
Press send and receive.
Okay, and what send and receive actually do?
Just generates just to pick up the email.
Okay, it actually refreshes the news or your emails. So if nothing's happening and you click send receive in Outlook or refresh on a PC on the top of the screen, that literally refreshes the information. So with send receive, it refreshes it and enables anything new to come in and sends anything out. Does that make sense? So that's called syncing. So refreshing is syncing, so that if we're getting new news in, we're syncing with the new news. So if you go to Google and you bring up news now, and you sit there and you read it and you read it and you read it, and you walk away and you come back an hour later, it'll look the same. However, if you sync it or click refresh, it will actually change to the latest news. Okay? Why am I talking about this sort of stuff? Why is that relevant? It's relevant because when we're using the cloud, the information there is live, okay? So when we're using live documents or news, it will change and it can change daily. So if you're using a PC, down the bottom of your PC, I'll just change over again to my PowerPoint presentation so I can show you. So just let me know when you can see my screen. Okay, thumbs up if you can see my screen. Okay, let me know when you can see the presentation.
Just switch this display settings, sure.
Thank you. Okay, so everyone now should be able to see Windows and the internet.
Perfect.
Beautiful. Okay, so when we're using Windows and the internet, it's live. Everything that we're doing is live and it's changing over and over and over again. So just like today's news blast will change constantly throughout the day. It's not until you actually click refresh that it will. But Windows and the internet has changed a lot and is forever changing. Has anybody noticed these?
Yep.
Okay, what are they?
Edge and Chrome.
Okay, very good. So this one here has just changed recently. Did you all notice the change? Yep, so they're the two browsers that we use, and I just wanted to check that you knew what they are because it is really important. We pretty much have been teaching Microsoft Edge for a very long time, and it's only since this change that we'll recommend it. And the reason being is prior to this, it would chew up a lot of data, very slow, very clunky, but you get a lot of news on it, and the news would be forever changing. But now, there's not a lot of difference. So with the change in Microsoft Edge now, it's made it a lot better and a lot easier to use. Have you found that? Are anybody using Edge? Do you like it?
Is Edge only available on iPhones?
Edge is not available on iPhones because it uses Safari. Does that answer your question? Because Edge is written very specifically for a PC. So something running Windows 10, which you can see here. Whereas an iPhone uses Safari, which is the specific browser for that. And Safari, what does Safari look like, Brad?
It's a compass.
It's a compass, that's right. So environmentally, it looks very different. So that's why going back where we were before, it's really important that we know what devices we've got. So if you've got an iPhone, you would use Safari. If you have an Apple Mac computer at home, it's going to be very different to what you're using here. So it's understanding the devices and making sure that you're using the right apps. So if you've got an actual PC, you would be using either Google Chrome to get to the internet, or you'd be using Microsoft Edge. So it really depends on what you've got for home and for work. Does that answer your question about Safari? Okay, so before we move on, I just want to give everybody a little bit of an orientation of this screen here. What have we got here? So down the bottom, I'll just point it out with my little laser pointer. What's that area there? That's our main menu, our start option from Windows. What is this bit here?
Search bar.
Okay, so if you're looking for a very specific app, like Microsoft Word, you could go in and search for it there. It will bring it up and you can see it. This is our background screen. This is called our taskbar down the bottom. And this is the older version of Microsoft Edge. So if I go back one, you'll see the difference. So that one there, as opposed to the older version there. What's this button here do?
Minimize.
Minimise.
Have you all used that?
Yep.
Excellent. What about this one?
Large.
Okay, maximize. Okay. Now the reason I want to know this is because I have to be sure that when you go away and do this next exercise that you can actually do this, because do you know what switching screens allows you to do? The idea of Windows is to have many, many windows open at any one time without having to walk away or close things. You can have a couple of documents open, you can be surfing the internet, you can be watching a movie if you want to. And then just put it out of the way when the boss comes up behind you. Whoops, I didn't say that. So it's really important that when you're running Windows that you actually do know what these buttons here do, because if I say to you, okay, I want you to minimize your screen now, that means put zoom out of the way, but then I want you to go over to Google and do such and such. Are you all aware and know how to do that? Excellent. Okay, if you don't worry, stick around because we'll come back to that. But remember, minimize, maximize, and then the start button down here gives you the menu. So that menu there is really important for what we want to do shortly. Okay, what have we got here? What are we looking at? This is Edge. So this is the new version of Microsoft Edge. Has anybody used it here?
No.
Right. If you have a look here, we've got arrows pointing back. Remember we talked about refresh before? That's the refresh option there. So if you've got an old screen of news and you click that, it will update the news. If you're on Facebook, that button there will update your news feed. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yep, so if you want new information, how do we do it on a phone? Swipe down. So if you're on a phone and you want to refresh Facebook, you swipe down. When you swipe down, that will do exactly the same thing as the arrow. Okay, something else that I want just to point out here is the settings option. So if you want to go in and change settings, that cog there represents settings wherever we go. Very important that we know that, particularly if we're sending and receiving emails. Up here, you'll notice that it's got not syncing. What does that mean? What did I say syncing means?
Updates.
Okay, it's actually updating it, but it's syncing it with my cloud. So if I say it's syncing my computer information with the cloud, what does that mean? Who syncs their phones? Or does it just happen? Can anyone give me an example of syncing? Not using quicksand, guys. Okay, anyone got any idea?
I sync, yeah, I back up to iCloud with my iPhone.
Good. And what does that actually do?
It means that a copy of everything I've selected to sync on my phone is going up to the cloud. So if I can't access my device anymore, it's saved somewhere that's not my phone.
Okay, and can you, Harriet, tell me the advantage of doing that?
If I break my phone, which has happened on multiple occasions, and I need to get a new phone, it's all already backed up. Okay. So I can get a new device and download everything from the cloud to my new phone.
Awesome. So if we're using Microsoft in this case, what would sync here?
Documents, I suppose.
Pardon?
Documents.
Documents, everything, all your photos. So the cloud is connected to your email address. Okay, so the reason why this says at the moment it's not syncing is because I am not logged in to this at the moment. So I wanted to show you what it looks like before it's actually set up. So once it's set up, we use something called, who can tell me what the Microsoft Cloud is called? Doesn't matter if you don't know. It's actually called OneDrive, okay? Like Harriet says, hers is actually updating to iCloud. So if you have an Apple computer or an Apple phone, it will upload or sync to iCloud, which is Apple's storage. If you have an Android, where's it going to go? Android is a bit confusing. Android, when you buy the device, you need to be aware that you need to be asking where it's going to go. So if you're using a Google Gmail account, you can ask it to sync to Google Gmail. If you're using Microsoft Outlook, you can ask it to sync to Microsoft Outlook, or upload or backup, okay? Same sort of thing. If you're using Big Pond, what are you going to do? If you're using Big Pond, I wouldn't recommend that you sync your mobile devices with Telstra, okay? So if you've got one of these, a Samsung, where can you sync to? Okay, who has a Samsung phone? Okay, I'll get Brad to answer this one. Brad, if you've got a Samsung phone, which you do, and you're using Google, where is your documents going to sync to?
Google Drive.
Thank you. If you're using Microsoft Outlook from your Android, where are your documents going to sync to?
OneDrive.
Why?
Because you're using Microsoft's system, so that'll go to OneDrive because that's connected like that.
Okay, so these are the sorts of things, everyone, that are really extremely important. Depending on who your email provider is, they're the ones who are allowing you access to storage. Now, what do I mean by allowing you access to their storage?
Agreement.
So if you're using Microsoft Outlook, which is also Hotmail, so they're pretty much the same, they're both owned by Microsoft, when you set up your phone or your computer, that's why as soon as you go out and buy a new Surface Pro, so we've just gone down to Harvey Norman and we said we want a brand new Surface Pro, we want to be able to run online presentations so that we can use a stylus and draw all over the screen. We go off and buy one. As soon as we turn it on, the first thing it's going to ask us for are what? Number one.
Username.
Number two.
Email address.
Number three.
Password.
Number four.
Code.
Do you have all four of those when you log into a Surface Pro? Yes. The answer is yes. If you have a Samsung, do you have a username, email address, password, passcode? Yes. So yes, you do. So see why those four things are extremely important. So as soon as you buy a device, if you want to set it up yourself, you need to know how to do that. But that device can be a smart TV. I'm actually looking at you all here on my big screen today. I've got my little Surface Pro, but I've also got you all on. So otherwise, I would need an extra set of eyes. So rather than use my extra set of eyes, I've got a really beautiful big screen, which, sorry, I shouldn't say that, hey. But it just enables me to see everything bigger, and I can see all of your happy, smiley faces. Isn't that wonderful? So, whereas the Surface Pro screen is very small. So, again, buying the smart TV, using that, needed to put an email address in, username, password, passcode, all of that before you even get started. Okay, so what we're going to do in a moment is go live. And when we go live, we're going to be having a look at the internet. And I wanted to know whether or not you have any questions at this time before we go live. No? All clear as mud?
Yeah.
All right, give me a thumbs up if it's as clear as mud. Beautiful. All right, so I'm going to switch over now to Google. And the reason Brad and I use Google is because we've come so accustomed to using Google as opposed to Microsoft Edge. Microsoft Edge, if you're using it, it chews up a lot of data because it will have news that comes up and just gets in the way. This new version of Edge now, though, they have fixed that, so it's not too bad. But we still use Google for that reason. So I'll just change over. Give me a thumbs up again when you can see my screen. and tell me what you can see.
Zoom.
Zoom. Beautiful. Okay, where are we?
Chrome? No.
Yeah, we're in
Yes.
Google Chrome. Now, down the bottom here, can you see this one here? So when I do that there, can you see where I am?
No.
Okay. What about up here?
Yep.
Yeah.
Google search.
Right. Okay, so I'm using Chrome. So Chrome is represented by that colored ball down the bottom, and it's made by Google. So at the moment, I've got 1, 2, 3, what?
Windows.
Ah. Okay, they're called tabs. Tabs. Okay, so I've got 1 tab, 2 tabs, 3 tabs, 1 tab. What do they do? You can probably just see what I've done there. Enables me to have many pages of the internet open without having to close anything down. So that's, again, is really important. We are sponsored by Good Things Foundation and a network partner of Good Things Foundation, and have been now for over 3 years. So it's been a really great long-term relationship that we've had with Tom and the people at Good Things Foundation. What I want to share with you today is some tips on getting around the internet in a really easy way. So one is to be able to just bring in a new tab. So if you have a look here, I'll go back to my first tab. How many tabs do I have open?
3.
No, I've got 4. Can you see them?
No.
1, 2, 3, and a new tab. How did I do that? Right, let's see the plus sign there. So we click the plus sign, that gives us a new tab. How many of those can we have open? Heaps. Depending on how much space your computer has and what you're doing, you can have a lot. If you're watching a lot of videos, probably less. But you may have walked past somebody's desk or someone at home who's got tab, all these tiny little squishy tabs. Have you ever seen those? Okay, that shows that you can have many. Sometimes though, you can get lost in those, and it is a good idea sometimes to close them down. So did you see how I closed that tab down? What did I do?
Hit the cross.
Okay, so to open, we press the plus. To close, we click the cross. That closes that down. Okay, what about all of, what's this one here? This one?
Minimize.
Beautiful. This one?
Maximize.
Excellent. This one?
Close.
Fantastic. What's this one?
There's more.
What did you say?
Customize.
It's the but wait, there's more button. Okay.
Option.
It's very, very affectionately known as the but wait, there's more button by Brad and I, because some people don't even know that that button is there. And it's probably one of the most important options on the internet, because when I look at it, everything in there makes your screen and your internet experience customizable. So if I click on that there, it actually has got new tab, new window, new incognito window. What does that mean? Has anybody ever used an incognito window? No? Okay. I'll explain. Pardon?
Sounds dodgy.
It's not dodgy. Well, it can be, I suppose. I'll give you an example. I've got 3 different email addresses that I use for work. So I've got one in general that I log into all the time. If I want to use 2 Microsoft accounts at the same time, 2 Microsoft email accounts, sometimes it'll bump me out of the first one before it goes into the other. I'll just click on the new incognito window, and has that changed for you? Can you see this? Now, what I'm looking at, and it's because I shared the previous screen with you, what you get is like a little man with a hat, and you won't be able to see it at the moment because it opened it up as a new screen. But all it does is brings in a new tab, and you can go in there and search the internet. You can log into other email accounts without upsetting your private one. So for example, it's very good to use if you want to log into your work email from home without upsetting your email that you're using on a day-to-day basis, because otherwise it's been like Facebook. Have you ever been on your computer at home and somebody in the family wants to come in and log into Facebook? So you've got to log out of Facebook so they can log in. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
They can log in using an incognito one. Okay, so it's literally just a normal Google, but it's actually called incognito. So when somebody goes in incognito, they can log into their Facebook page, they can surf the internet, then when they close off, your Facebook page will come back, not theirs. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yep.
How many, excuse me,
yeah.
How many incognito screens can you have open?
Plenty. Okay. Just exactly the same. See how I've got one here that I prepared earlier. So what I'll do is I'll go to stop share for the moment, and I'll switch over now instead to the incognito one that I've got set up. So just give me 2 seconds and I will go and share my screen again, and I'll choose the incognito one, and I'm now sharing the incognito. Can you see that there?
Yeah.
Yep. So literally I've actually gone in and done exactly what I said. So I've got Microsoft Office 365 open, but it's incognito. So see here how it says in private over on the top right hand side? It looks very different. It's black rather than white. So I'll stop the share again. I'll go back to the other one. Any questions? Did that answer your question about how many? So if you want new ones, you just click a new one, you search for something else, add another one. See how it's now got in private browsing here? Is that all available to you?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, so I'll stop the share so you can see that. I'll go back over now to my normal Google. And once I go back to Google, what are you seeing? See how it's white? So you can see at a glance the difference between them. But if you want to go incognito, you go to the 3 dots or the options. And from there, you use a new incognito window. Now, the other difference too is one I'm using in Google, the other one I'm actually using in Microsoft Edge. So there is a little bit of difference there. So if, but once you learn one, they're pretty much the same. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, I'm going to go over to this Be Connected login to the site now. And I brought this up. So what I did is I went to Google and I typed in Be Connected. So I've brought that up. It's got Be Connected, type it in, press enter. Once I press enter, it brings me to this tab here. What I want to do is just quickly tell you about what Be Connected website is. Do you think that you'll need a bit of extra computer training or training on your iPhone or Samsung device?
Yep.
Yep. Okay. If you create an account with the Be Connected website, this website is completely free and offered by Good Things Foundation. So this is the company that Tom works for, and they have created this. So anybody can go in, create an account on here, and you can learn your device the way you want in your time. And it's actually called real time. What does that mean? It's live. So it's forever changing, they're forever updating, they're adding new lessons to it, etc., etc. But you need to create an account. So I chose to use this one because they have sponsored this training, and I think it's a really great site for people who are starting off, whether it's your next door neighbour, an elderly member of the family, or young people, because it teaches all about online security, what hacking is, all of those lovely terms that we've heard a lot about lately, how to avoid being hacked, how to stop your profile being copied on Facebook. All of that stuff is available on the Be Connected website, and it is completely free and always will be. So Be Connected was actually created as a collaboration between Good Things Foundation in the UK and Australia, and they actually came in and set it up here in Australia through the federal government. What I wanted to point out is if you do want to create an account, you don't go to sign in. Now, what's important to remember here, everyone?
First 4 things.
Yeah, what are they?
Username, email, password, and passcode.
Beautiful. So what we need to do is go down the bottom here to create an account. If you're on a phone or if you're on a device, sometimes this button here can disappear. So all you really need to do is scroll down. So I'm going to click on Create New Account, and I'll go through this briefly with you and show you how to create an account. Would anybody think that this is useful? Would it be useful for online safety or giving it to members of the family? Yeah? Okay, so anybody can create an account, it's free. So what are we asking for here where it's got your details? Who am I? Who am I, guys?
Tricia.
What's my username?
Right.
Right, does that matter? It does. However, it needs to be broken up. So we need to put our username in so that when we are logged in, Be Connected or the website knows who you are and you can see it at a glance. So I'm going to put my surname in. If you decide that you want to go ahead and create one of these accounts, I do guarantee it is a great website. It's got name of support center. Who am I? What's the name of my business? Can you see that?
Tech Exec.
The Tech Exec. So what you do is when you go in, you pop your username in and then the name of the support center. So the support center for us is my company. So we've got the Tech, no H because it stands for something, Exec, and notice that there's Maruya, Narooma, Bateman's Bay or Herard Street. For us, we would use the Tech Exec Bateman's Bay. So once we click on that, it will move the support center up, and that tells Be Connected who has introduced the people to the site. Then it needs an email address. What are we going to do here?
Email address.
Right, so I'm going to add my address, admin at the, whoops, no spaces, Tech Exec. Now you all know that always lowercase, no capitals, correct?
Mm-hmm.
What happens if you use capitals?
Nothing, isn't it the same?
Sometimes it may not work, but other times it's smart enough. So it's always better just to try use lowercase. Okay, what are we going to put in here? What do we want in here?
Password.
Password. Okay, so the password for this, I'm going to type in okay, so what's my password? Do you want to know what my password is?
Yeah, show password.
Should you know what my password is? Okay, so over at the right-hand side, there is a new feature on a lot of websites now that actually have got show password. If you are in an open room, we do not suggest that you click on this because it will show it, but it can also be represented by a small, very tiny, in some cases, I. It looks like a little I. For the purpose of this, this is not my real password, so I will show you. So click show password, and it shows the password that I've actually got. Now, what can you tell me about that password?
got a capital, it's got a number, and it's 8 letters.
Yeah, and how many characters should your password be these days? What are they recommending?
7.
8.
Plus.
24.
What?
So cybersecurity experts are recommending, not that we can say to do that because we literally teach digital literacy skills to people who can't remember their passwords. So we still say about 8, but use a capital, use a number and a special character. So the special character I've used in this instance is a. Right. So yeah, if you've got people struggling with this, it's something that is very important. And how often should you change your password?
No idea.
Okay. In organisations, it's usually every 3 months. In some cases, we change ours monthly. It really depends. With banking, we change it all the time. And with hacking and all that sort of stuff that we've seen and what's happening just recently with the government organisations being hacked, it's something that we should really be careful. And that also includes social media. So from here, once we've done that, we can hide the password again. And you can not choose to get emails from them, or you can say yes. Here it's got you agreeing, and a lot of sites will have this on there now. So I'm going to click that, and you agree to the terms and conditions. And this is exactly what Google got sued for. Because rather than say you agree with Google, you allow them to do something, it was bypassing that, and they were getting all of people's personal information. So for you now, I would suggest if you've got a Gmail account and you have been logged into that Gmail account for a long time, that you actually change your password. So log out, change your password, and go back in and take out some of your personal details. Because Google actually now have been sued for doing that. All right, once we do that, it says sign up for free. It's always free, free forever. We click on that, and then that will give us the account. From here, I'm going to close that one down. And what I'd like you to do, hello everyone, welcome back. We're actually going to go on to bookmarking now. So I hope you're all feeling refreshed. Don't forget to unmute yourself and turn your video back on. So I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to go over to Google. Now, what we're about to do is very similar if you're using either Google Chrome or Safari or Microsoft Edge. So can you all see my screen now?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So we're seeing a Be Connected page. And yes. Okay, so this is after what we can sign in. So after we create the account, we can go back in. So I'm going to go all the way to the bottom. So scroll all the way to the bottom of the Be Connected page. And any website that we have now legally has to have what's called a sitemap. Have you heard that term before?
Heard about it.
Yeah, you have a sitemap. So down the bottom here, you can actually see the sitemap. And what the sitemap does is gives like a grid or a map, an actual map of the website. So all websites should have one to follow Google's rules. So I'll click on that and you'll be able to see what the sitemap looks like. So this is a great example of a sitemap because it's got a list of everything that appears in the sitemap for the topics that Be Connect offer. So if you have a smartphone, there's a really basic course here that just gives you a background. Now remember that these courses are very basic. They are meant to be for over 55s connecting, but I find them really useful for even some of our teenagers because we assume that young people know a lot about computers, but a lot don't. So just to give you an example there, my son-in-law is a maths teacher. In the beginning of the year, he was trying to get the kids to do things online and they didn't know how. So these courses can be great for people of all ages, and they've got a lot to do with your health records and your MyGov account and all of those here. I'm just going to go down to scroll through here, and you'll actually see that any new courses comes up. So practice area for your devices, you've got games center. So there is somebody who is here with us in this live presentation who does game. No, I'm not going to say who, Brad. So Brad knows all about those. If you want to know anything about gaming, you can ask Brad. If you don't want to ask Brad, you can go to the Game Centre and learn here. Okay, so this sitemap literally put all of the courses. So anything new there, you can see they're new. And then down the bottom, you can actually see the sitemap option. This is a great site. Do you think it would be good to keep it? Yeah, all right. With your computer, whether or not you're using, I will just concentrate on a PC because it's very consistent on a PC. So over at the right-hand side, those 3 dots that we mentioned before, the but wait, there's more button, is really important here to be able to see the options that we need to be able to store and gain easy access to commonly used pages. So if you have a look here, I've got Zoom as my first tab at the top or page. We've got Be Connected, Google Search as our second one. So if we're looking for Be Connected, we go to Google, we enter in Be Connected and we find that there. Once we're in, we go to Be Connected site to the topic library on the sitemap, and we can see all of the topics. We don't have to sign in. Once you do sign in, it will remember you unless you tell it not to. We go all the way to the bottom and scroll down. That doesn't take long, but there is a short way to do that. What we can do is ask Google or Microsoft to remember certain sites that you like. Those sites are called bookmarks, and a bookmark is literally like grabbing any book, grabbing a bookmark, popping it into the book, closing it off, and then coming back and being able to find that bookmark. Now, you might say, how many bookmarks can we have? You can have hundreds, thousands, or you might just have one. So what I want to show you is once we click on the 3 dots here, you can see our options. New tab will bring in a new tab up here at the top. New window will bring in a new window, which is separate. So it actually opens up a new page. Like when I went to my incognito one, it sort of disappeared. So it's actually a completely whole separate window. Then we've got history, we've got downloads and bookmarks. There's 2 types of bookmarks that we can use. One is a bookmark to the bookmark bar, and the other is a list of bookmarks that you can check. So if you have a look at my screen now, you can actually see my list of bookmarks. So I've got Health My Way, I've got Facebook, and I've got all of these. So I've actually created folders in here for Health My Way and for Facebook on pages that I like that are relevant to that. So I might have understanding a Facebook campaign. I might have how to change a Facebook logo, or I could have a video that I've seen and want to bookmark on Facebook or on the internet. So does anybody have a question that relates to that so far? All good? Okay, so I'll just do that again. We'll go over to our 3 dots. So but wait, there's more button to open up the menu option. We go down to bookmarks and we've got bookmark this tab. So if we go to bookmark this tab, it will actually only bookmark this page. So if I click on that, bookmark this tab, it opens it up and it gives me the bookmark will be added to as a name, Be Connected Sitemap. Is that a good bookmark name for this? Is it a good one? Be Connected Website Sitemap.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's quite good because it says what it is. So if it was Facebook marketing video, we could name it Facebook marketing video about such and such. Once you do
more
that,
detail, maybe
More detail, yeah. So we could go be connected, website. Website. So I'm literally just clicking in here and editing like you would if you were doing an email or a Word document. So be connected, website, sitemap, courses. Does that make more sense? So it's all of the free courses that are available on the Be Connected website. Underneath that, it's got folders. So are you all proficient? Okay. So are you all proficient file managers? Thumbs up for proficient file managers. Okay, are you proficient at file management? What am I talking about? So if I said to you, all right, I want you to download something and then come back and find it, can you do that?
Yeah.
Don't worry if you can't, we'll go through that. Okay, when we bookmark, it is literally like filing. So you're filing it though to Google. That's the difference. So if you were downloading from the internet to your computer, your filing cabinet then is the hard drive inside the computer system that you're currently using. If you're using the cloud, where would you send the bookmark to?
Your email.
Perfect.
Yep.
Was that you, Rebecca?
Yeah, not very confident, but
no, but that was excellent. Very good. So remember, the cloud's not that scary. It's just filing. So you're spot on. Well done. So here it's like choosing. We have a normal filing cabinet. We open up a drawer. We've got a file. One of those, as my kids used to call them, manila folders. You know the manila folders. So you grab your manila folder out of the cupboard that's labelled Talking Techno, or because that's the folder you can see there, or you can select from the cabinet one of the manila folders that are relevant to where you want to store this data. So I'm going to click on the little folder there and come down and have a look at these here. So we've got the bookmark bar. If we want it to be on the bookmark bar, we can click on that, and that will actually bring it up so that it appears underneath the website address. So at the moment, we're not viewing the bookmarks bar, so I won't pop it there. So let's just say we have the bookmarks bar up. You'll actually see the Be Connected site come up in this space underneath the web address. So does everybody know what I mean by that? Yeah. So it's like another toolbar that'll come up underneath here, and this website will be here, and you can add your emails to that bookmark. You can add your Facebook page to that, and you can reuse it over and over. Once you've got the bookmark there, you need to tell it to go away. So if it's something that you're using daily, like your Facebook page and your emails, you can bookmark them to the bar and it will be there for you until you tell it to go away. So in this instance, I'm going to tell it to go down to another folder. So I click on that and it will actually open up all of the folders that I've got of bookmarks. So see how we've got Health My Way, Facebook, Talking Techno. So these are just names of different folders that I've set up. I'm going to pop it in Health My Way because it's part of the Be Connected program. So if I click on that and open it, so I need to double click on that and then save, and that will go to that bookmark. Once we've stored it, we can close the window and open up a new one and go to our 3 beautiful dots here. Oops. Just stop that share for a second and repeat the share because I closed one of the windows. So that's the other thing, if you are having a meeting, when you are using the internet, if you're sharing information, each time you close a window, it bumps you out. So you've got to stop the share and then restart it. So I'll just do that again. Go back to Chrome, share again, bring our bookmarks bar. Can everybody see Google?
Yep.
Excellent, we're in the right place. So we've got a new tab. We're going over now to our 3 dots and down to bookmarks. Where did I put it?
Health my way.
I made it really easy for us, so I popped it in there. Click in there, and is it there?
Yep.
Okay, so what did we call it? What was our bookmark name?
Be Connected Website Site Map Courses.
Beautiful. So there it is down the bottom.
Bottom one.
And because it's bookmarked, what's going to happen when I click on it?
Open that page.
All right, hopefully you won't lose me. Can you now see the bookmark has opened?
Yep.
Yes.
Yep, oh good, it didn't bump me out. All right, I'll stop the share. And literally, once you learn how to do file management, it is pretty much the same in managing a manila folder in a physical type of filing system as it is to the internet and your bookmarks. With your computer, I have to admit it can be a little bit harder, but it's something that honestly, if I was teaching you how to do file management, it would be probably a 5-hour course just to learn file management. So that's how much information is in file management. So just a quick question. Can everybody say to me, type it in the chat to Brad, if you were going to save an image off the internet, where is that image going to go? So if you are downloading an image off the internet to your computer, where is your computer going to put it?
Downloads, I suppose.
Pop your answer in the chat. I'm just waiting for those to come in. Yeah. Okay, good. So it does go to the downloads folder. Now, a lot of people don't know anything about the downloads folder, but anything that you do on the internet will not go to the desktop screen. It won't go to your documents folder. Everything that you're bringing from the internet down to your computer will go to the downloads folder. So we do have people say to us on a lot of occasions, I've downloaded it, but I can't find it. So that's very common. So very good, everyone. Initial downloads to downloads folder, and then you'll save it to its correct location, desired location. Yeah, very good. So from the, should you empty out your downloads folder? Yeah. Okay, what do you do at the end of the financial year at home?
Gather all your information.
Do you clean out your filing cabinet? On your computer, it's a really good time to do it as well. So if you've got your downloads folder, just think of it like tax time. It's time to give your computer a clean out. Why?
It's up too much space.
Yeah, it takes up space. I find because we are forever recording videos and sessions, and we actually do a lot of videos for our social media, that we're downloading all the time. So that can start to clog up the system, but also it can create connections between those files and the internet and leave little windows open for you to get hacked. So you should be careful of that. It's very important to go through and clean out your downloads, particularly if you are downloading information that is linked to websites where you've logged in. Okay, I'll explain that a bit more as we go next week. So yes, just think of it like tax time, clean out your system, and it helps to renew and refresh and also keep you safe.
Trish, just quickly before we move on from the bookmarks, I just wanted to flag with the group, I'm sure some of you are already using bookmarks for some of the work pages that you're visiting on a regular basis, but something that we can do for those things that we do regularly, like logging into MyHQ for timesheets and things, you can bookmark MyHQ, CS Connect for logging IT tickets. If you're not doing that already, you can bookmark that. If you're using mail and things through your browser, you can bookmark that. The other thing that might be relevant for the team would be bookmarking the new digital ROM form, if you haven't already. And And then what I'm hoping is that we can eventually assist the field staff as well to bookmark those on their phone, which is a bit of a different process, which we can go through in a separate session, but that's something that we can do. So they've got those things like that saved in their phone and easy to access when they're out in the field.
Yeah.
So while you're on that, Harriet, a lot of our reporting is shifting to smart sheets and shared documents and so forth. And at this stage, I've been bookmarking those, but unless you and Tricia have advice that there's a more effective way of doing that.
I personally don't know a lot about smart sheets, David. I know, so for some things, so for example...
So I only use that as an example. There's Google Docs, and there's a whole variety of them.
Yeah, that's it. And in some cases, you might use the application and sort of have that either as a shortcut on your desktop or access it through the browser. So there's a couple of different ways to access things there. Similarly, on your phone, you could have an app. Say for Outlook versus, accessing it through a browser and bookmarking it that way. It'll depend whether there's an app versus it being a website that you need to access. So that's just something to keep in mind for everyone. But there's a way to shortcut all of that stuff, whether it's on your computer or a mobile device.
Absolutely. Just one more thing that I will show you with regards to that is the bookmark bar. So if you're not viewing the bookmark bar, can everybody see my screen now? So the Be Connected site?
Yep.
Okay, so if we go to our But Wait, There's More button, underneath there with bookmarks, because I took it off because it tends to get a bit overwhelming for some people if there's all these buttons. So if you go down to bookmarks, you've got bookmark this tab, bookmark all tabs, you've got show bookmarks bar. I click on that, it comes up and you can actually see that I do have apps, bookmarks, Health My Way, Facebook, all already there. When you want to, say, access the bookmarks and you want to add bookmarks to the bookmarks bar, make sure that you've got things like that. If you've got Google Sheets, that it will actually go directly to there. Just to give you the insight on that, you can create very quickly shortcuts onto the desktop. We'll have a look at that for Office 365 shortly. But with this here, once you've got the bookmarks bar up, instead of going to bookmark the tab in a group, I missed that one. So you can bookmark this page. And instead of going to Health My Way where we did it before, we just click on the down arrow next to where we want it to go, and we can tell it to put it onto the bookmarks bar. So the bookmark bar is there. Once we do that, we click done. My bookmark bar is quite full, but there is something really tiny over at the right-hand side. And remember I said about the But Wait, There's More? If you have a look there on the toolbar, there's two little arrows pointing to the right, just before other bookmarks. Once you click on that, that shows you other things that you've got connected to the bookmark bar. If something is not relevant or you don't need it anymore, you can remove it. So you've actually got an option through bookmarks to manage them, and you literally just click on them, press delete. Does that help? Yep. Any questions about bookmarks?
I just have one. How is bookmarks different to favourites? So I've got a few sites to save to my favourites. Would it be better to bookmark that?
They're pretty much the same.
It's the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Keep it there.
Are you using an iPad or?
No, just the PC.
Yeah, but basically they're the same thing. But when they call them bookmarks, they just mean they're manageable and you can go in and it's just a technical term given to them, but they're the same.
Was favourites like the old Internet Explorer, and maybe bookmarks is the term they use in Google Chrome?
And
Favorites is the unupdated term. So it's now updated to bookmarks to make it so it's just comfortable across all platforms, but favorites used to be the old school platform.
Yeah, and Microsoft tend to do that. They do change the name of things and the look. Obviously, you can see that by what they've done with Microsoft Edge quite a few times over the last 20 years. It's changed quite a bit. So yeah, it's just terms given to things like Microsoft. Even their search bar was called Bing, and they've got rid of that because it wasn't fun. Whereas Google is a cool word. Everybody Googles things, they don't Bing it. So things that don't work, they just get rid of or rename. Just like if you have a file and you're not happy with the name, you can rename it like I did with our bookmark. Does that help?
Yep, that's good, thanks.
Okay, I'm going to go back to our PowerPoint presentation now. And just give me a thumbs up when you can see it. Okay, Brad, what are you looking at there?
The front end.
The front end?
PowerPoint.
Okay, what about now?
Back end, just switch it over.
Yep, okay. When we record, it does different things. Okay, how about now?
Perfect.
Looking good?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we've done our bookmark and we're moving along now to Microsoft Office 365. Who would like to tell me what they know about 365 and why is it different to the previous versions of Microsoft Office? There's no right or wrong answers.
Is it that it's all cloud based?
There's that terrible cloud word again.
It's not like the other old Microsoft Office. You actually download the suite of software to your computer, whereas in this case, it's
you're on the right track. With Microsoft, the previous versions, it'd be that when they first came up, you would literally have to go to the computer store, buy it, come back, grab the CDs, or previously to that, back in the olden days, you had floppy disks. Does anybody remember those things? So you come back, you get your floppy disks or your CD, pop it in, and you would need to install the software. 12 months down the track, you would need to go back, get an update, come back, and do that again. Office 365 is pretty revolutionary in what it does.
Have you got your plugged in, your computer plugged into the... No, mine's right. Have you got power? You haven't just gone flat.
Okay, so Office 365, the big difference is that it's live. Now, we've spoken about live software before. What does live actually mean?
Always updating.
Okay, so what it means is when you're using it from Microsoft's computers. So when you're accessing it, you're logging onto Microsoft computers and you are logging into the particular software that you want to use, whether that is Microsoft Excel, Microsoft Word, PowerPoint, whether it's Outlook, etc. When we talk about that, it also syncs. So when we're talking about syncing, what does that mean? Would anybody like to have a go? All right, it's a hard one. So when we're talking about syncing, so I've got the Surface Pro, which is the computer that I'm using. And I also have my trusty Android or Samsung. And I also have my tablet. And just to add another thing to the mix is the desktop computer at the office. So that's 4 different devices. That would mean if we went back to the olden days, we would literally have to install the software onto all 4 or 5 of those devices. That doesn't happen anymore. When you are nowadays logging in to any device, so if you're signing in using your email address, username, password, passcode, etc. When you log into Google if you're using Google as your standard email address or your work email address, when you are given your work email address, that email address is set up with access for you. And once the email address for work is set up with access for you, you are given or password, and you need to change that password whenever your organisation, whatever their practice is on how often that needs to happen. So that can vary from organisation to organisation. Once you log in on one device, all you need to do is log in on all of your other devices from Google or from Microsoft, and you will have access to all the same software. But not only the software, you will have access to all of your emails, you'll have access to all of your documents, you'll have access to all of your videos, all of your photos, and they are syncing all the time. So if I'm in America and I don't take any other device than my phone, and on my phone I create a document, and then when I come back, is that going to be available on the Surface Pro or the desktop computer? Or do I have to type it again? Any clues?
It's available.
It's available because we use the Microsoft Live application or app, whether it's a web-based app or one on the phone, to create the document, and it automatically syncs using the internet, okay, or the data on your phone to all of the other devices. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay, so you type it once, but because you're logged in on all of your devices, you can access that from any device, anywhere, anytime, in any country. The only thing you need is what? Internet connection and data. Okay, so you must have data, which means, you know, you can download and you can upload. So whenever you create a document, it's uploading it, and that's that process of syncing it with what people say the cloud. Okay, so that to me is an innovation. I love having live software because it does forever change. It keeps us on our toes, doesn't it, Brad? But it can be off-putting for a lot of other people who haven't used it before. Okay. Did somebody drop out?
Yeah, I did.
Are you okay? You back?
I'm just back now.
Back now? Okay.
We've lost David as well, so.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, David's gone. He's left the meeting, I'm afraid.
Okay, hopefully everybody else is all right. Okay, so when you go to the web app, is everybody logging in this way, or are you using an app?
I think most people, I believe, are using the desktop app. So we've got a single sign-on set up with Office 365.
Excellent. So I'll just show you this part and then I'll show you the app, because I think that this part here is going back to those 4 things. So I don't have the full email address there, but when you go to log in from the web app, it does bring in a sign-in page like Google does, like Telstra does the first time you connect, or if you're connecting from another device. So we need to pop the full email address in, and here you'll actually see that the email address is there, the password goes in, and then this bit here. Now, because you've got a single login, you won't get this. But if you're trying to log into your work email account from another location, it is important that you know that you can log in, but it will send you a verification option. So what's this type of verification called? Can anybody tell me? And how does it work?
Is it not like 2-step verification? Or?
Was that you again, Rebecca?
Yeah.
Well done, woohoo! It is. It's called 2-step authentication. So when you are connecting, you'll connect it to your phone. So it actually needs your phone number. So you can actually see that they've texted it. This is the verification code that comes in. You can't reuse it. It changes every single time. And once you use that number, you click verify, and then that will actually log you in to the Microsoft Office homepage. Does anyone have any questions about that? Are you seeing the homepage like this, or do you have all of the actual apps as shortcuts on your computer?
Shortcuts.
Yes.
Okay, well, the reason I wanted to show you that is because if you are trying to set up a phone, this is where you will have issues if there is not a licensing agreement or the organisation has paid to have the mobile apps available. When you've got them on your desktop, that if they're active and working, that means that they are being paid for and they're live and they're changing. But on the phone, it's very different. So with a phone app, you actually need to download to the phone the app and then sign in exactly the same way to the mobile phone app, and it will give you access that way. Any questions?
I obviously invite anyone to ask questions, but just one thing to flag is that if you want to access that, anyone who wants to see that page in the browser, if you type in Office 365 into Google, you'll be able to get through to the page. You may need to log in for the first time, but you may go straight through if you've already got your single sign-on, and you can access things like your OneDrive and SharePoint from there, which you might have seen some emails about a migration from Google to OneDrive over the last 2 days. So if you're wanting to find those file locations, that's where they are. Perfect.
So I have a demo for that in a second. So thank you very much, Harriet. That's awesome. If you have a look here, what we've got is a picture of Windows 10. And remember before I pointed out down the bottom right-hand corner, there was a search bar. If you can't see your apps or something happens, they are all there. You just click on the option down the bottom left-hand side that looks like a little window, and the search bar comes up. Once you type in Microsoft Office, these apps will appear like this, and you can then choose to pin them to the start bar. So that means they'll actually come up in a menu at the left-hand side, or if you pin them to the taskbar, they'll actually come up like my Google and my Internet Explorer or Microsoft Edge down on the bottom of the taskbar. So the taskbar is always located down the bottom. You can move it around, but it's always across the bottom, and it shows all of the apps that you are using regularly. If they're not there, you can add them to there, and it's called pinning them to the taskbar. If there's something there that you don't need anymore, you can uninstall them. But this is a basic way for you to be able to see all of your apps and create shortcuts to the taskbar down the bottom so that they're there for you to access quickly all the time. So by the sounds of things, Harriet, that's how it is at work. If you've got a device at home and you want to log in that way, you would need to do it one of those two ways. So one is through the web app and access it through the internet, or the other one is to log in first from the web app and then bring everything in as separate applications on the desktop screen. Does that make sense? So on the computer's main screen. Okay, back to cloud storage. What's cloud again?
It doesn't exist.
Thank you. It doesn't exist. So when we're talking about the cloud here, the cloud is actually our, think of it as a filing cabinet. So going back to your email address, if your email address is from Microsoft, it will be either your work email address, or nowadays it'll be whatever you set it up at outlook.com. So everything that you do and put in the cloud, it will sync from one device to another using the storage that is given to you by Microsoft or Google or whoever it is that you're using. So just one more thing that I wanted to say on that is that when you are sending information and you're creating it so that you can make it available, you need to tell it where to go. So just like if you have a home address and you give a friend your home address, you would literally say, my home address is blah, blah, blah. When you're storing information in the cloud, you need to know which address your computer is using to set up that information. So to be able to access work emails, you would be using your work email address, the one we spoke about earlier. So what happens once you log in, that takes control of the system and all of the information is filed that relates to that email address and any of your documents. Are you syncing automatically, Harriet, your information, or are you storing your information on the hard drive on your computers? Can you unmute yourself?
Sorry, it's a bit of a mix. I believe this team is using some local network drives, probably in combination with your own computer. Is that right, team?
Yeah.
You've got sort of like a G drive, shared team drive. Yeah, so they are using local network drives, but the move, we've got OneDrive. Prior to that, we had Google Drive. We've migrated.
Right. Yeah.
So we've got OneDrive and we've got SharePoint. So the idea is basically that we sort of use OneDrive like a sort of personal folder, and SharePoint will replace those G drive network drives. But yeah, it's a little bit mixed depending on sort of what basically the action teams have taken to progress off network drives.
Okay, that's awesome. Because when you're saying network drive and you're saying, you know, your hard drive, and you're saying, you know, your shared drive, your G drive, your H drive, that can be really confusing. Like we spoke before about your downloads file. When you're syncing and you are, you're using your own devices, when you're syncing, it's important to know where that information is syncing to. So it can be a collaboration. But if you have a smartphone of your own, it will sync to the email address that has been set up for that particular device. So for example, if your name was joesmith@hotmail.com, that is that space that is available for you and offered to you by did I say Hotmail then? Hotmail? Yeah, so that's provided to you by Microsoft, just like Microsoft Outlook and just like all of these Microsoft 365 apps. So all of those, and it's really good that you've changed back, because if you're using Microsoft products, it makes sense to use Microsoft Cloud. So going forward, that's what we'll do.
Harriet, I've got a question. Sorry, wrong Harriet. Yeah, with the iCloud storage, a few of us are getting things where we're low on iCloud storage space and to purchase more on the iPhones. Can you free up storage space on iCloud, or have you just got to purchase more?
Actually, that's a good question, and that was exactly what I was going to say next. So if you're with Microsoft or Google, okay, Brad, if you're with Google and you're using Gmail, how much space do they give you for free?
15 gigabytes.
15 gigabytes. If you're using Outlook, how many do they give you for free?
Is it 10 or 5? I think it's 5.
It's 5.
Yeah.
If you're using iCloud, how many do they give you for free?
5.
5. Big difference, isn't it? So 5 gigabytes. Okay, if you relate this, if you're taking photos all the time, you're going to fill up this cloud space or mailbox or filing cabinet, depending on how you want to put it, very quickly. Going back to what we said before, we take a lot of videos. We're videoing today, so that's going to take up a lot of space. So if you're using Google, they will automatically give you 15 gigabytes of storage space free. So if you are storing a lot of photos, very quickly, if you're using iCloud, you're going to go over that. You can clean it out, but it's really not going to do much, because 5 gigabytes of space is not a lot. Think of it as 5,000 photos. Have you got 5,000 photos? So think of it also, we've got photos, right? We might have video. Oh, I've got a terrible drawer here. Okay, so we might have a little video, probably should get, so we've got files, we've got that, and we've got, so think about what we're actually storing. We've got ABCs, which are all of your, don't laugh at my drawings, guys. So we've got our ABCs, which are all of your documents that you're storing, and your emails, which are automatically all going into that account. So they're already there. How long did I say I had my Hotmail account for?
17 years.
17 years. Now, I didn't ever go over my storage space with that because I was using it really only for a few photos and emails for probably 15 of those 17 years. It's just recently that I've gone over it. Why? Because I'm storing a lot more photos now, because everything we do is photos. Do you take photos regularly on your phone, on your devices? Okay.
Yeah, we do, yeah.
Yeah, do you do any videos on your phone device?
Oh, not really, more photos, I think, most of them, yeah.
Okay, so I said previously I was just doing a lot of photos, but as technology evolves, we tend to take more video. So as you start to use it more, and video will take up more. So if you were to watch a video, how much space on your computer is usually standard that a video will take up? Okay, so if we use a file or a piece of paper like this one, that's not going to take up a lot of room. We might be able to store on our, say, 5 gigabytes of space here, we might be able to store 100,000 books in a 5 gigabyte space. Is that a lot of books?
Yeah.
Larry?
Yeah.
A lot of books? Yeah.
Sure
Think about those books as ABCs. So we can store 100,000 books in 5 gigabytes of space. If we've got photos in that same 5 gigabytes of space, we can only save 5,000. See the difference?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay, so if we've got 5,000 photos, this iCloud is full. If we've got 100,000 books, our iCloud is also full. How many emails have you got?
Oh, well, I've cleaned them out for a long time.
Right, so you're starting to fill up your space just with emails?
When we changed over from Google to all the old Google ones that are in, but they're going into the bin, would that impact on this as well? Like, I mean...
not on your new ones, no, because iCloud is all separate, and iCloud is more for your iPhone. So if you're on a desktop, you won't be using iCloud at all. And that's why yeah, that's why this bit's really, really important. Mm-hmm. So it really comes down to whether we're using Microsoft or Google or Apple. So what you're talking about there is Apple. So going back to Google, if you've got 15, we've got 5,000 photos, it's full. We've got 100,000 books, it's full. Anybody want to have a go at that question about movies? One movie on average is how many gigabytes? One movie is 1 gigabyte. So how many movies before our iCloud is full? 5 movies.
5.
Yeah.
Right. So as soon as you go happy snapping the family holiday and taking videos, that's filling up, even though you might do 30 seconds here, a minute there, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 15 minutes, that is very quickly taking up that space. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So what happens as soon as you get close to that 5 gigabytes, Google or Microsoft will tell you, and they expect that you either clean it out, which means completely get rid of everything, or update. Now, like I said, with my account, my Google account I've had for 10 years, and about 4 years ago, I'd say I started paying extra for that space. So because our Google account is our main one for our business emails, I do pay, and I pay $24 American a year for extra space. And that gives me 1 terabyte of space. So once I fill up that 1 terabyte space, I can extend that again. So for those of you being at work, it is the organisation who pays for that. And for you at home, it's really, really important that you know this, because once that's full, there is no other way of getting around it apart from either deleting it or paying for space. Has anybody ever had a storage shed? Okay, so think of our storage shed. Just going to draw our little storage shed here. So we've got our storage shed over here, and in our storage shed we have this is a car, guys. All right, we've got a Mini. We keep our little Mini in our storage shed, and that costs us $100 a month forever. However, today we won lotto. We're actually going to go out and buy a Cadillac. What's the difference, guys?
A bigger shed.
We need a bigger shed. Do you see my point? Can we fit the Cadillac in our Mini storage space? Okay, so what do we have to do? Upgrade and pay more, and just on average that's going to cost us $150 a month. Does that help you with the cloud space? So when you're working in the cloud for work, you don't have to pay for it. It is the company that does that. But at home, any device you have, in particular iCloud, will fill up very quickly.
Larry, was that you that asked that question about the... Yeah. So with are you talking about your work iPhone?
My work iPhone, yeah.
Yeah. So look, I would think, and it's probably best to check with your manager, but if you can't free up space on your device because you need all of the things that you've got on there, then you can take up the option of getting additional storage. I pay, like on my personal iPhone, I pay $1.49 a month.
Yeah, I think that's what most of us have got the same signal. There's been a few iPhones got the same message.
You should be able to, and I'd check this maybe with finance or with your manager, you should be able to select that option, and then assuming your Apple ID is linked up to your work P card or something like that, you should be able to purchase additional storage through that.
Okay. Yep, that should be right.
Yeah. Cool. I hope that helps, because it happens all the time and people get really confused. So does that sizing help you all understand why we need more space and why you're getting those messages, Larry?
Yeah, I think that sure does. Yeah, I think you need to clean out things in the phone too, like the emails or any. Often you take 2 or 3 shots of something.
Yep.
Yeah, and just dump the other ones off.
Yep.
So we have staff take a lot of photos. We've got staff doing bench rides, and they'll be taking numerous photos out on the field.
Yeah.
So eventually it's going to fill up there.
Yeah. You can also have some stuff backing up to the iCloud that maybe doesn't need to be backed up. So for example, your work emails could be backing up to the iCloud as well as backing up to the Microsoft cloud, because it's an Outlook. It's already backing up because it's on Outlook. So you might have some duplication across multiple clouds. So you may be able to free up some storage in your iCloud by doing that.
Yep. It's in the financial year, guys. What are you going to do?
Clean it out.
Clean out what you don't need, because otherwise it will keep doing the same thing. I hope that helps. Okay, now we've got our filing cabinet. So our filing cabinet is exactly what I'm talking about. So when we're looking at the cloud and your storage on your computer normally is called C drive. Does that make sense? You're all aware of C drive? So the main storage on your computer is called C. A lot of the times you don't see that anymore. So what we're going to do is label this drawer in our filing cabinet C. So somebody told me that they were using iCloud. Yeah. So that was you, Larry. So we've got iCloud on your iPhones. What other storage are you using? Anybody ever use one of these?
USB.
It's a USB. Good.
USB,
okay. So as soon as you stick a USB in, that's storage as well. Anything else?
Yes.
Hard drive.
Hard drive. So the hard drive is C. So that's the hard drive there. So in the computer, it literally has got a hard drive. So your main storage device is there. Then iCloud is what you're using on your mobile phones. Then we've got our USB stick, and then we might have, sorry, Harriet, what did you call it that you're backing up to?
Oh, we've got G drives. So
G drive
like
and
group network
Microsoft
drives. Yes, yeah.
Okay.
So there's the G drive. Look, I don't know how it sort of works in the back end, but I'm assuming there's servers, sort of shared servers,
yep.
Where, you know, we're saving things, and I think over time they're getting migrated to the cloud so that we don't have physical servers.
Okay, so the cloud is which one are you calling that?
Well, sorry, that'd be one. It's Microsoft one,
right.
So OneDrive.
So OneDrive.
Sitting
okay, so we've got another drawer here called OneDrive. So can you see where I'm going with regards to being able to determine where we're going to store stuff? So when you're using an actual Apple phone, it's not really designed to use Microsoft products. So that can be an issue, but this is where using OneDrive will solve that problem because it's web-based. If you were storing information on an Android, a desktop and an Apple, back in the olden days, you would never ever be able to transfer information between one and the other. It was the internet that's made that possible, and now we can store stuff wherever we like. So when we're talking about C drive, this one here is the hard drive inside the unit that you're using. So if you want to store it on that one computer, it will stay there. That can be a problem if you don't have a copy of that, because if the computer dies, all the information will be lost. iCloud is the automatic backup drawer from an iPhone, which is an Apple. Okay. And then the USB can be a backup of your stuff that you've got on the hard drive. Does that make sense? Yep. So you can get these that actually have a terabyte of information. So, or you can get them that look a little bit bigger and store your entire computer on it as a backup. That's usually the easiest way to go, most cost effective. So then you've got OneDrive. So OneDrive and your actual internal drives that are shared are basically just like saying these are all drawers. So when you go to save a document in Microsoft Word, you can choose any one of these areas to store to. Everybody with me? Thumbs up. Any questions? You're all good? All right, going across now, you can actually see the actual drawers. So where I use a filing cabinet, it just helps to break down this bit here. So you can see that you've got the desktop. That's the screen that you first see when you turn your computer on. Then you've got documents, which is a folder inside the computer here that Microsoft wants you to store everything in. Then you've got downloads. Aha, that's everything that you download off the internet that we spoke about before. All of your pictures should go into there. This one's me, all of our stuff's there, but blah, 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 you've got that one there. So OneDrive is the web-based storage for all of your catalogs or information, just like the catalog, sorry, the Mini, moving from the Mini to the bigger car. So the more we store, the more information we need, but OneDrive can grow with you, just like iCloud can, but it really comes down to what systems you're using. Does that sort of make sense on if we were making or creating a document now using Microsoft Word, that if we wanted to store it in the cloud, that's where we would go. If you want to store it in the computer's hard drive, this one here, we would go to, whoops, went too far there. We would go to documents. So it's all about what you're selecting on where you're going to send the information. What if I want to put it on a USB stick? Can you see USB stick there? Yeah, it's not there because the USB stick won't come up until you actually put it into the machine. Okay, were you all aware of that? So it's not until you put it in that it comes up. So that's where file management can be a bit tricky, and it is really important to be able to know which folder represents where you want it to store. Where's iCloud there?
It's not there because it's not an Apple.
Right, because I'm using a
iPhone.
Right, when I don't have an iPhone. Okay, so that's why it's not there. So where I've got iCloud Apple there, if I'm actually uploading to my phone, it would actually be a completely separate drawer. Now, because we are consistent in our technology, we don't use Apple ever for any of our storage, because we've always been Microsoft, we've always had Samsung or Android phones. So that is where it syncs really beautifully, but having an iPhone can create a problem in that actual link. And I think that's something that is important that we're aware of that. Okay, once we've actually started to store to our synced drive, you can actually see now that I've got OneDrive all connected, and we've got a couple of folders in there, documents and pictures, and a couple of little files that I've popped up there in OneDrive. And you can see there that OneDrive is selected. So that's pretty much the basics of using 365. Who can tell me the big difference between 365 and any of our other software that we've used previously? Important. Larry, did you want to have a go?
No, just more complicated 365, I think, from there. I like the old Googles. Yeah.
Once you get used to it, it's pretty good, but it's just understanding how it splits information into different folders and into different drawers. So if you can see it like this, if we want to put it on the desktop, it'll actually go onto the screen that you see in the background. Not advisable, is it, Brad?
No.
Brad doesn't like it when I do that because it gets a messy desktop. But normally the main place on your computer to store information is in documents there. Obviously your pictures, but this here is accessing OneDrive, which means if you store information on OneDrive straight away, it will not be on the device that you're using. So if you're at the office, you create a document, you want the document to be able to be accessed from home. There's two ways you can do it. One is store it in OneDrive and then open OneDrive on your device at home. Or the second way is store it onto the device at work and email it to yourself. Okay, are you all able to do that?
Yep.
What's the easiest way to do it?
Email it to yourself, I reckon.
Back in the olden days, it was. Back in the olden days, it was. Nowadays, though, it's easier just to type it once, bring it into a shared drive and be able to access it from your phone, your other tablet, device at home. And honestly, all you need to do is what? Remember those four things. What are they? Number one?
Username.
Yep. Number two?
Email
address.
Number three?
Password.
Number four?
Passcode.
Okay, that's all you need, because all you need to do is go to any other device and log in to that username that you have for work on any device anywhere, and you can safely access your files that you have stored in the OneDrive cloud. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yep, you're all good?
Trish, just a quick question. I know that on my my machine, when I open up the file explorer that you're showing there, I don't see OneDrive like you had there on my work computer. On my personal computer, I get that OneDrive view there in the file explorer. So when I access OneDrive, I do it through Google Chrome. I access my OneDrive there. Is that, and I don't know if everyone's got the same thing across DPI. Do you know?
Are you sure it's OneDrive or is it Google Drive?
It's OneDrive. I just use Google Chrome as my browser.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, but I I log in through that Office 365 login, and then I access OneDrive in the browser because I don't have OneDrive coming up in my file explorer like you do there.
Yes.
Windows
okay, I'll tell you why you actually have to download it.
Right,
So
okay.
what I did there was access, because this is my computer and I'm using it every day. Once I created the 365 account, which I'll show you in a sec. Actually, I'll show you now. I'll just go through here because I've got that set up already incognito. So I'm going to go into there and then share this screen with you. So 2 seconds just while I switch over the share so that you can see it. So we go to, okay, can you all see this Microsoft Office Home now?
Yep.
Yes?
Yep.
Beautiful. So you can see the calendar, all that stuff. If I click on back there, that goes to this here. So what happens is you just go to Google or to Microsoft Edge, whichever one you want to, and do exactly what Harriet said. So what did you say, Harriet? You go to a new tab and you type in Microsoft Office 365.
365, yep.
Okay, so you go to Microsoft Office 365. Once you go to Microsoft Office 365, previously in my PowerPoint presentation, I showed you the screen that came up where you put your email address and your password in, and then the two-step authentication. This is where that sort of I've missed that here, but I've shown you previously. So you go into Office 365, you add your email address in, you put your password in, it then asks you for the code, which if your account is set up for your your mobile phone number, it should be. Then on your phone, it will give you a code, and then you go in and you enter the code in, and once you've done that bit, it takes you to here. So once you're here, you can see that you've got Outlook, OneDrive, Word, etc., etc., etc. So all of these apps, but wait, there's more. Okay, so it's not just that you're limited to these apps. You've got Teams here. You can add all of these to your computer. You just need to know how. Then you click on all apps, and all the Microsoft apps are there. So you can see the calendar, which we're going to use. Very excited about that one when we use Outlook and the calendar next session. I'll just go back because there's a lot of stuff there, but these are the main Microsoft Office tools that we use. So from there, where I went into that one, I literally just popped it and downloaded it from Office onto my computer so that it's there every time. So I don't have to go through that, remember my username, remember my email address, remember my password, two-step authentication. That just takes so long. So once you've logged in once, you add that and Outlook to the desktop. Now I do have that already here. So from OneDrive, you just download that app onto the computer and it's already there. So each time you want to add information to that, you can select it when you're saving your document. Does that help? Yeah, any questions about that? Yeah.
I think that's what I haven't done, because I've got the OneDrive app on my computer, but I've just gone and I'm not signed into it, which is why I'm not getting it in my file explorer.
Yeah.
Can I say one extra thing as well?
Yes, Brad.
With the newest extension of Windows 10, it's actually a part of it. So when you update of Windows 10, that's when you get, because that is actually a part. When I had my Windows 10 initially, I didn't have that, but as soon as I updated it, it actually switched to that.
Okay, mine usually updates all the time, so it'll be interesting to see if in between now and next week that it changes. But so far, I haven't had any new Windows 10 big updates. So cool.
We actually had a class, and I actually hadn't installed the Windows 10 or actually set it up. I actually went through with the class and explained setting it up like that because it was new to me in general, and I just walked everyone through it as well.
Cool. Okay, so that's also something that is probably for your IT department, is to make sure that you've got, and because all of this is live and synced, it's changing every single day. So if you're looking at your news feed in Facebook, is that the same every single time you go in there? No, it's different. So if you're looking at this, once you have Microsoft set up, Microsoft Word, they're making changes to the software every day. Whereas prior to that, you would have to go and buy the discs and the CDs, come and install it, and you updated it only every once a year or once every 3 years, depending on when it was changed. Now, it's like, it won't happen overnight, but it will happen. It literally is, it can happen overnight. And there's been times where, and I'm sure Brad can attest to this, is that we've been about to deliver a training session where we've done a PowerPoint presentation and we've gone and looked at it and it's completely different because there's been a major update. So that happens with me when I'm teaching Facebook all the time. Now, did you notice that I'm currently teaching this live? This is not a PowerPoint presentation, this bit here. So I've actually gone in, I've logged into Microsoft Office, we've got the apps up. So this is what it looks like today on Tuesday, the 28th of the 7th. Next week, it might look different because it's live and it's forever changing. It's forever being updated, it's being made better. So it might not, it might look exactly the same, but just to let you know, that's what live software does. So we're now looking at the live version of it. So next week, what we're going to be doing is going in, and our little schedule here is looking at Microsoft Office from Outlook and going in and creating desktop shortcuts. And we're going to be looking at the calendar, like I said, and I'm very, very excited about all of that because that's when we really start to use the collaboration and integration between Microsoft Office 365. And it helps to create simpler flow of tasks and management. And Brad and I use it all the time. And it just makes the way that we do things very simple. So for example, I'll get Brad to create a document, and before we go live with that document or before we email it to somebody, he shares the document with me. I can bring it up straight away. Him and I can work on that same document at the same time. He can make an edit, I can make an edit. We're all doing that in real time in the cloud. So they're the sorts of things that Microsoft 365 can do once we figure out how to do that. So has anybody got any questions about that? I've got one more slide. So I'll just close that one off. I've got one more slide to show you. So back to our PowerPoint presentation. Let me know when you can see my PowerPoint presentation. Oops.
Just switch to display.
Yep, I did. Hang on a second. Just need to bring that back. Okay. And we can try that. Share. Okay. PowerPoint. And let me know when you can see my screen.
Yep.
Beautiful. Okay, so the last screen I have to show you is this one here. And got that same thing happening there again. Okay, just 1 second. Sometimes when we don't close the PowerPoint slideshow, it can have a little hissy fit, and that's what it's actually doing at the moment. So I'll just close that one. And back to here. Okay, any questions just while we're waiting for PowerPoint to behave itself? Okay. So if we it is there. All right. Can you see that now?
Yep. It's just in the back end.
So that's the back end of...
That's showing on the bigger screen, Trish.
Okay. It's just not liking that PowerPoint screen.
If you pull it up again, there's actually the display settings at the top. It's just very small. So right at the top.
Yeah, it's just not there.
Just switch it over. There's a...
Then my toolbar's in the way.
Okay.
Okay. It looks different from this end. So I'll stop the share. Have a look down the bottom of your screen. Everybody. You should have Google. You should have a yellow folder. Can you see those there?
Mm-hmm.
So on the bottom of Windows. Is there one that looks like a blue envelope? Okay, so if you go to the Outlook option through search, it will actually bring up Outlook here. Once you do that, I'll share this screen with you so that you can see this one. And let me know when you can see Outlook Mail.
Yep.
Okay, so what I've got here is our actual app, and it's on the taskbar. So it's actually on the bottom of the screen right near where Google is. So when we went to unpin and add to taskbar through the options before, you can actually add these to the taskbar down the bottom. So where Google is, where your yellow folder is, you get the blue folder there. So from there, you can actually see our email accounts there, but you can go in and add a new account. So at any time you can go in, add a new account, and from there you just go in and you do what?
Your username, address, password.
Oh gosh, you're so over that now. But see how important it is? So when you go in to add a new account, you have to put in your username, your email address, and your password. So you only need to do that once, but you need to remember the username, email address, and password of any accounts that you're putting in there. And that is also very consistent with what you're doing on your phone. Okay, so that's our session for today. And are there any questions? What have we covered off on today? So if we can go around, are there any outstanding questions, anything that you wanted to sort of just comment on before we finish off? All still clear as mud?
Yes.
Okay, so what I'd like to do is just go around the room, and we'll start with Rebecca. Rebecca, can you tell me what was the standout for you today? Was there anything that you didn't know or that you've learned, or your one takeaway from today's session?
I really liked the how to pin things and to save things to your taskbar, because that's what I liked. I wrote all that down.
Isn't it? Ah,
yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
good. All right. Excellent. So we'll learn more about that next time. So, thanks for that. All right. We've got Tim.
I was very disillusioned because I found out the cloud doesn't really exist.
No, I'm so sorry. I've ruined it for you.
With this mystical thing, but it's not really there.
Get your head out of the clouds. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So now you know that it's not real. It's just storage, isn't it? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you, Tim. Okay, Debbie.
I learned a lot more about the cloud than I originally knew, so that's been good.
Fantastic. Okay, that's great. And we know now that it's there. It's nothing to be scared of. We just need to use it. And remember, it's just storage, just like using a filing cabinet. Okay, thanks, Debbie. I'm glad that you enjoyed it. Chris?
Yeah, and I really enjoyed it. Yeah, took everything in, hopefully, and yeah, no more next time.
Okay, you're not overwhelmed?
No, but yeah, I'll keep pushing buttons.
Great. Yeah, don't be afraid to push buttons either. That's a good way to learn, you know. And if I can say, don't be afraid. And if you do something and you've got questions, write them down. So in between now and next week, write those questions down, bring them back to us, and we'll help you solve it and answer your question.
And I'm not scared of the cloud anymore.
Yay! Oh, my job here is done. That's good news. Thanks, Chris. That's a great comment. Larry.
I like the Be Connected side. I think there's a lot of value there for a few of us. If we, you know, just to get through and find out a bit more about the IT side of it, you know, just
That's a good point. There's so much available on there. It covers off on, like I said, safety, security and everything. I think you will get a lot out of it. And the reason that they've got me here is because I'm more your Microsoft Office. They're sort of more like your introduction to computers. So that's the difference. But yes, by all means, go in there, check it out, sign up,
very good.
Have fun. Again, go through things. If you've got questions, write them down, bring the questions back. Because every time we ask people questions, they go, oh, I had questions, but I forgot.
Yeah.
Write them down. And
just on the Be Connected side, Good Things Foundation had also shared a link with me to their learning library, which seemed to have a bit more than the Be Connected side, as well as went into Office 365, for example. Is that, I don't know if you're familiar with that, or if that's maybe something I could share with the group as well.
Yeah, just share anything that you've got.
Yeah, cool. I'll send out the training manual as well as those links to everyone after this.
Yep, perfect. I think, as I said, they're adding to it all the time, and it's a brilliant site, and it's really easy to navigate. So once you go down and you find the site map, so it could be, Harriet, the same site. I'm just going in a different way.
Yeah, they look a bit different. I'm wondering if the learning library is kind of their back end resource, and they've made certain things available through Be Connected.
There's 3 different sites. So
right, okay.
Yeah, but good resources. So yeah, I think the Be Connected is more the basic stuff. They're getting a lot more higher level, but there's so many different places that you can go to, particularly for safety as well. Okay, and thanks for that, Larry. I've got Anita.
I think one of the good things that I learned today is the incognito webpage, because I have to log in with a lot of different people, and under my Gmail account, once you've logged in as 10 different people, you can't access that account anymore. So when you log out of that account, you've got to log into a different Google account to add more people. So I have to log into my personal Google account to add more people. So it sounds very complex, but that's good, so that I know I can go to an incognito page and then not have to log out of my other account.
Exactly. So that will solve that for you straight away. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Thank you. Thanks for sharing. Stuart, have I spoken to you yet, Stuart?
No, I agree with Larry. I agree a bit with Larry. Be Connected would be great for our field staff.
Yeah.
Because there's different levels.
Yes. Yeah, it's excellent. It's very good for that, especially, and we use it all the time we work with a few aged care facilities and go in and teach them how to mentor residents, and the residents use it, and it's fantastic. So it covers so many different requirements. So great to hear that. Thanks, Stuart. And I've got, I think because we lost you, your name's changed back. Kerry, sorry. Okay, Kerry, what's your one takeaway from today?
Oh, I think it was very good overall. I'm a bit with Larry and Stuart too, thinking about the field staff benefiting from the Be Connected.
Excellent. Okay, that's great. All right, thanks, Kerry. Thanks for sharing, and I'm glad you guys get so much from that, because, you know, if I can give you the resources that make it easy for you, well then, you know, it can help out so many people. Just remember, just from there, if you actually do use it, to use the Tech Exec Bateman's Bay as the centre, okay? Because that's how we collaborate with Be Connected, and it tells them how many people we've put through the program. So, and Harriet, have I missed anybody else? Has everybody had a go? Okay, Harriet, thank you. Do you have a one takeaway from today?
Yeah, look, for me, I actually haven't used incognito browsing myself, so that's something I'm probably gonna have to do, just to protect my security a bit more. So that's been a really good learning for me. But I'll just say to everyone, I'll send those resources out, and if obviously write down any questions, and if you can wait until next week, you can put them to Tricia and Brad. Otherwise, if there's anything between now and then that you've sort of got as a burning question that you need to, you want to sort of sort out, and so you can start practicing and get moving on, then just give me a call or drop me an email.
Beautiful. Thank you.
I'll try my best to answer.
Yeah, same with us too, you know, but just write those questions down, because that's how we learn, you know, and you'll ask them a different way than somebody else, and it can be because of the terminology. Thanks so much, Harriet, and thank you everybody for coming along and putting up with Brad and I today. So next week we'll be going more in depth with your emails and your calendar and the tasks function in there. So all right, until then, you're all free to go. How do you get out?
Leave. Guys, if there's any particular topics that you really do want to hone in on next week, let me know ASAP, and I'll try and provide that feedback to you, Tricia, so we can maybe delve a bit deeper on certain things too.
Yeah. What we have to realise is that, I think particularly with the cloud and 365 being so different, being a digital literacy trainer, we have got people who've never turned computers on before. We've got people who are like yourself, Harriet, who's been using it at a high level, but there's gaps. So pretty much what Brad and I do, we're classed as SPAC filler. So that's why we have to make sure that we cover off on those 4 things and in this order, so that we're making sure we're filling in the gaps and that we've got a benchmark to start from.
Yep, perfect. That's been great.
Thanks
Trish. Thanks, Brad. And thanks everyone for joining.
See you next week.
Soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.